Welcome to Find the Connection, the podcast where we explore the history, development, events, and stories that make Northeast Florida so inviting. I'm your host, Kendra Robertson, a real estate professional, community leader, wellness ambassador, and proud resident of Jacksonville Beach for over 30 years. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of the people that are making a difference, both at a local level and nationally. We'll share an inside look at real estate with tips for maintaining work-life balance, from winning your mornings to winning your day, all while staying connected with our vibrant local community. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's find the connection between community and living your best life. Today, I have Ana Stauch with A New Way Healthcare, who has been a huge part of my health journey. So thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited just to share your practice, your story, all the things that you've done for me. So you've got, well, before we get into your healthcare, introduce yourself. Give us a little background of how you got where you are.
Thank you. Well, I'm just honored to be on here. My name is Ana Stauch. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I've been in the Jacksonville Beach area for over 30 years and practicing out here for pretty much almost my whole career, 25 years as a nurse practitioner out here at the beaches. And so I started off in labor and delivering, and then later became a nurse-midwife, delivering babies. And then I moved into women's health with the famous Dr. Randolph, who just taught me all I know about bioidentical hormones. And he was really legendary back, in the early 2000s, pioneering a lot about hormone therapy that was really pretty shunned at that time. So I had a really good base and a really good teacher. And then I moved into internal medicine, where I worked with another great physician and learned a lot about functional medicine. So that's kind of a whole other side of medicine, where we get really more into the root cause of the problem. And then after that, I just decided I've been doing this for someone else for a long time, and I thought I could maybe do this on my own. So I created A New Way Healthcare 7 years ago, this month, as a matter of fact. And yes, we serve, we're here in Jacksonville Beach, and we serve all of the greater Jacksonville area using a new healthcare model called direct primary care, which we can talk about later. And now I have 2 other amazing nurse practitioners that also work here as well. So we provide primary care and women's health services.
So your tagline is be seen, feel heard.
Yeah.
And I think that just hits home for so many people when they discover your practice.
I'm glad it does. That was the point. I think I was just saying that out loud one time, and I'm like, that's exactly what our mission really is at this office. As providers, all of us, for a really long time, we worked in other practices where we were just really rushed. Like, you have to see 20 patients a day. And then as a patient, we're all patients too. You feel that pressure. Like, I had all these questions for you. This is about my health, my concerns, but you can't do that in 10 minutes. Or you leave there and you're like, shoot, I forgot to ask. And then you got to go back and pay another copay. So be seen and feel heard is really our true motto, and we truly stand behind it. And I hope that we truly always provide that with each and every patient that we see. Plenty of time to talk. We want to definitely hear all your concerns and questions.
So I'd had a friend recommend your practice, and she'd been telling me about it for a while. And I had been working out with Beth Billiard and Scott Hernandez at Kai Fitness. Mm-hmm. And I was really feeling like I was hitting it hard, doing all the things, and I wasn't seeing any progress. And I remember distinctly the 3 of us standing there talking in the gym, and he's like, well, it must be what you're eating. And I'm like, fine, let me go figure this out. And I knew I had the hypothyroidism, and I'd been working with the endocrinologist with that, but you were the first to discover the Hashimoto's. And that really, the whole leaky gut, that, and as you said, you got to the root of the problem. You just didn't medicate me, which has been huge, in my managing it. And yeah, just the whole understanding level. So it was interesting. I listened to Mel Robbins. She interviewed a doctor on autoimmune diseases. And the 3 things they talked about was genetic disposition to autoimmune, the leaky gut,
and triggers, So obviously I had a very stressful few years, almost decade kind of thing. So I think stress definitely was a part of that.
Yeah.
But the leaky gut and the inflammation is just fascinating to me. Can you explain the leaky gut? Because I know it's the core of so much of
It
what you're
really
treating.
is. And it just dumbfounds me how this isn't like regular medicine that we're all taught from the beginning of like, let's find out exactly how our bodies work and what triggers these things. Leaky gut is actually fairly common, and it just means when there's when there's a lot of inflammation, and inflammation can be caused by so many things: the foods that we eat, the chemicals that may or may not be in our foods, stress, changes in our stomach acid, infections, the list goes on and on. So this chronic inflammation will cause inflammation in the intestinal lining, and that can create the intestinal lining, which is designed to be permeable, meaning that things should be moving, or I should say they're impermeable. The food content should be remaining inside of the gut. But if there's a lot of inflammation, there starts to become almost little holes, little cracks in the intestinal wall, and microscopic little bits of food and undigested food and/or microbes can leak from the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. Now, right outside the intestine is our immune system is guiding and monitoring our gut at all times. So once those little undigested food particles hit the bloodstream, now the immune system's turned on, like, wait a minute, whoa, what are you doing out here? Who are you? What are you? You're not supposed to be here. And a little bit here and there is okay. It's actually interesting, just side note, that's how we're just designed as humans. That's why babies put everything in their mouth originally. It's teaching our body like, oh, this microbe's okay. Okay, this guy we can handle. We'll form antibodies. We'll be okay. Otherwise, we would never make it as a species. So our body's just amazing. It's really designed pretty perfectly. So when there's constant triggers floating through the intestinal lining into the bloodstream, the immune system will eventually get quite overwhelmed and may develop tendencies to be overreactive, which is an autoimmunity. Again, we're not designed to attack our own bodies, our own cells. That doesn't seem logical for a human to survive that way. We treat it like a disease, but it's really just a root problem that we can find and we can manage, especially if we catch it earlier on.
So who is your typical patient? Who like, I know I arrived at your doorstep very frustrated and
Well, let me just say, first of all, that you've done amazing. I mean, really, it's a team effort. Yes, we provide you with the knowledge and the guidance and the support, but it's really amazing patients like you that, really work at what you're supposed to do. We try not to make it too difficult or complicated, but it's a really team effort, and taking your concerns into account is certainly the top priority. So really, we see in the office, we see pretty much anyone, men, women, ages, we see kind of starting at ages 14 up to 60. And really just people who are wanting to get a little bit more time and invested into their own healthcare, whether they have a health problem or not. It's really a big focus of ours to focus on prevention. Our American healthcare system is really focused on reactive medicine. We're really good at that. You got an injury, you got a major illness, go and they'll treat you for it. But if we could just step back and be more preventative, let's screen for more things ahead of time. Let's listen to what you're saying. If you're saying you're chronically tired, there's something wrong. The labs might look normal, but there's still something going on. We got to dig a little deeper and find it. And you just can't do that in a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute office visit, once a year. Or just go to the office when you're sick. It's not going to work like that. So we really encourage people and invite anyone who's really just wanting to just dig a little deeper, try it out, see what that kind of healthcare feels like for you to spend more time with a provider and be able to text them and ask them a question, at 4:00 if it's something urgent or you need something. So that's kind of the other part of our healthcare model, is that we're available to our patients whenever they need.
Yes, very much so.
And that's so helpful.
So it was recommended alcohol-free, gluten-free, limited dairy. And yes, I jumped in wholeheartedly.
You did.
Trying to, figure this out. But the partnership in even like the supplements, like monitoring my blood work on a regular basis, and just not even the medication, but the supplements that support me. And I think going into this journey, I didn't know if it was the thyroid, giving me the brain fog. I didn't know if it was depression. I mean, there were so many layers to try and figure out.
And that's so hard because now, on social media, we hear so much information, right? Like, I feel like we're just always hearing like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. I get everyone come to me with like all these potential problems. Sometimes it can be all of it, everything that you just said. Yeah, it could have been that, yes, and that, and that, and that. It's almost always not just one isolated, one-time problem in the body, because the body's very interconnected. So one problem creates another problem, creates another problem. And then throw in hormone changes in perimenopause and menopause. Now that's my specialty. So that's a separate thing that we do at the practice, is the New You program that I lead and run. And that is more based on functional medicine tenets of, yes, of course, addressing hormones and all the hormone imbalances that occur in perimenopause and menopause, but then the underlying issues, because just fixing hormones doesn't always do it. And when I mean fixing, like trying hormone replacement or taking a supplement to balance your hormone levels a little bit. If there's a gut issue, a thyroid issue, an adrenal hormone issue, it's not going to be enough. You'll feel better temporarily, and then the problem's back again. So that's kind of a deeper layer of that, and that's where perimenopause and menopause can really oftentimes open up the door to a lot more health concerns for women, especially because you really start to feel different and have issues. And thyroid problems are actually fairly common during perimenopause. So. And it's just because we just do so much. We're just always just going, and we're not designed as human beings, again, to do so much and go through menopause naturally, completely, with nothing, like all good, you'll be fine, no symptoms. Right. So we have to just balance it all out.
Well, and I'm in the New Way, or the New You program within your practice, and the monthly meetups and the education has been really good. I just remember the month that you talked about the heart, and how, once again, inflammation is a part of that issue. It was just, it kind of blew me away that, you hear about anti-inflammatory diets and this and that, but to see it in real life,
Yeah, it's just all put together. Again, yeah, I think that we bring a lot of awareness, but we haven't really done a lot for it. So we all talk about like Heart Health Awareness Month, and then, well, what are we doing? We check a cholesterol. Okay, great. You're fine, or you're on a statin. And then yet we all are still the number one cause of death for women is a heart attack. So we want to just get to those causes. Inflammation really is the root of all the problems, but there's so many reasons for the inflammation. And it's always, again, not just up to you to try to figure that out. We just have to do it together and do a lot of trial and error. Like, let's try this and see if it's working. We need time. We need lots of communication. We just need to build you need to trust that we are helping you. So it takes time to build a relationship. And I think that's the real key, is creating a good relationship. Like with you, that we've really gotten to know each other. Even personally, I just think it's just an evolving way of providing healthcare. That just personally, to me as a healthcare provider, I think it's huge. And really the whole point of providing healthcare as a provider is to get to know your patients. It's just not the typical model of healthcare, especially not in Jacksonville. We're only one of just a very few direct primary care models. So we really hope that it starts to create a big change in healthcare in general.
I know when I tried to give up alcohol and struggled to do it, and found SoberSys, a program that kind of helped me connect with women that were going through the same thing, where alcohol just wasn't serving them, but for whatever reason. And I loved that you were open to promoting that program, like Jen Couch that created like a PDF for medical offices of, this is support. And I was like, give my name out, whoever you want to tell.
Oh, and you have. I know. That's why you're such an important part of our community too, is just how special that is, that, we don't know everything. And so I didn't know about that program. And I'm so thankful to you to introduce me to that, because I've shared it with so many other women, and you indirectly have touched all those women's lives by changing their relationship with something like alcohol, because they too sought help and looked to support. So it's just like one little drop, we just create these ripples. And I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but Gosh, there's so much stuff out there that if we can just slow down and just all work together and not be so like, ego driven or whatever, it's such a helpful thing to be, especially in our beaches community, especially. I mean, Jacksonville as a whole, but our beaches community or all the little communities in Jacksonville, we're just so connected that it's nice to share that. And there's a lot of women that are very appreciative of you making that one suggestion to me, and then I just passed it on. I was just a middle messenger. That's huge.
Yeah, I think too, I talk to other people that are, they're having trouble sleeping and they're trying this supplement and that supplement. And I appreciate that you are monitoring all my supplements, that I'm not just randomly, taking, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that.
There's
It's
so many.
medically supervised to optimize, how I'm feeling. And yes, my daily swims at sunrise are definitely helping with my circadian rhythm. But in a time of perimenopause, menopause, the waking up in the middle of the night, the, having trouble sleeping, I don't have that anymore. My system is very much regulated.
Yeah. And the goal of supplements is really just to be a little bridge from like where you are now that's not so great to until you get well. The goal is to pull most of those supplements away. There's only maybe 3 that we recommend kind of as a daily thing because it's really hard to get those through your diet or from the external environment, just for healthcare. For health prevention or disease prevention, I mean. But all the others, I find it fascinating and exciting when I'm like, oh, you need to stop taking that. Like, I don't want you on 100 supplements. Yes, it's a business, and there's supplements, 5 million all over the whole world, and you could take all of them, really. They're all good for you, but do you need them? No, I feel like it's all in your food, mostly, and your environment.
When I first started, I think I was taking 2 vitamin Ds every day, and now I'm taking like 1 every other day.
Yeah. Getting better. All is working. All systems are working. You should be able to make your own vitamin D. So if you're getting some sun and your cholesterol's optimal, you should be okay. But yes, and there's a lot of exceptions, but supplements should not be the staple of we shouldn't all be taking a bunch of pills.
Right,
all the time.
And I think like a lot of women, I tried the intermittent fasting. I tried all the different, dietary, prepackaged, whatever. And I'm just like, I want to eat real food, just real food. And that's where I'm at for sure.
Wow. It's just not a one size fits all. Some people do amazing with intermittent fasting. They love it. They feel healthy. They feel good. They have energy, and others feel terrible. They can't do it at all. So it's just never a one size. You have to just work with someone to see like what is right for you, just specifically for you. And everything has to be very individualized because that's how we're designed.
Well, and having a nutritionist as part of your practice has been wonderful for me as well.
Amazing.
Just touching base with her on a regular basis,
Yeah, right. Again, that open line of communication with a nutritionist, that's just like another amazing part of the practice that, we think we know what we're doing. Even me, I ask Katie, our nutritionist, questions all the time. I'm like, am I supposed to be eating it this way? Like, we don't know everything. And we hear so much information, like, this is so good for you, do this. It's an all or nothing kind of thing out in the world, all the information overload. So it's nice to just bring it down to the basics. And in the end, it's never usually all that complicated. We're just supposed to eat real food, healthy foods, a variety of foods on a regular schedule-ish, and just have good digestion.
Well, and I think for me, in being overweight, out of shape, all the things, it didn't happen overnight. So trying to be patient with myself to, get in a healthier place, it didn't take overnight. It didn't.
That's such a good point. Yeah, we really do want quick fix. And while I want people to sort of at least feel a little bit better right away, like I usually focus on sleep. If you're not sleeping, nothing's going to change. You're too tired to even try or really do all the things or whatever. Plus your metabolism's just not going to move. No matter what you do, you could just sit there and starve and you're probably going to gain another pound. Or definitely don't go exercising a whole lot if you're not sleeping because it's just going to backfire and you'll end up gaining weight typically. This is usually in the 40 and over crowd. Sometimes a little bit younger. But we got to just get you feeling a little better, like sleeping, mentally feeling well. And then we tackle the deeper things because they do take a while. Right. It took a long time for us to usually get to this point. So it takes a little bit of time to undo.
I think the consistency over intensity has definitely
been
for
sure.
motto,
Definitely.
for sure.
Agreed. Yes. And hopefully something that doesn't feel overwhelming. Nothing should feel that taxing to have to be patient.
Well, and I think that's part of a true lifestyle change. It's got to be sustainable.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
for me, the gluten, giving up the gluten at first, like that first year, it was hard. I felt, deprived. But now it just cancels out a bunch of crap. It's like, no, can't eat that. Like I remember coming off the holidays and friends of mine were like, oh, I've eaten so many cookies and brownies and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, when you can't do gluten, it just cancels it out, makes it an easy decision. So,
It's true.
yeah.
It's true. And not everyone is sensitive to gluten, and not everyone can't return to gluten at some point. And then there are those that, yes, should probably remain off gluten for the most part. And gluten's a big topic, but there's just a lot of things in the processing of wheat in this country, unfortunately, that can affect people's immune systems. So it's not, again, a one size fits all. Like gluten's not bad. Like everybody needs to
Right.
avoid it. But in some cases, like you notice that when you eat a lot of gluten, you don't feel good. And typically it's also the certain foods that contain gluten are going to be foods that are not necessarily great for your body anyway. The brownies and the cookies and the bread and the pasta, in moderation, of course.
Right.
We like to really try to be as 80-20 here as we can, and not make things complicated for people.
Right.
Because like you said, it has to be sustainable.
So the direct primary care business model, explain that. Because I call it more concierge health, but obviously that's probably not the correct terminology, and I want to make sure I'm promoting it correctly.
It's a great business model. I did not create it. It was created maybe like 10 years ago, perhaps. And direct primary care just means that rather than utilizing insurance to just pay for your doctor visit, as we're all very accustomed to, you pay your copay, you get your 10, 15, 20 minutes, and you're out the door, and that's the end of that transaction until you utilize your insurance again. Direct primary care means just that. We want to keep it very direct between the patient and the provider. So we cut out a lot of the middle people that are involved in, well, frankly, making some profit off of your health and or that dictate how we need to do things. So insurance is not typically your friend in trying to allow you access to everything that you need in healthcare. It's a business as well. So direct primary care is where patients pay a low monthly membership fee for just once a month, and they have all access to the practice. So you can see your provider as often as you want. You can come in 10 times and see a provider. You have their phone number, their direct cell phone number, so to text them with questions, or if it's anything urgent after hours or on the weekends, or gosh, when you're out of town and you have a problem, you just text your provider. They'll handle it for you. They'll call something in to wherever you are, if it's in the US. We also really do pride ourselves on being very price transparent. So if we know that your insurance is probably not going to cover, say, your lab work because you have a very high deductible. I mean, we don't know these things. We have all this insurance, and most of us, including myself, don't really always know what exactly does this cover. Am I going to get a bill? Am I going to get a bill? So we don't want that. We want to take all that out. So we do draw labs in the office, and then if you have insurance, we send it out to the lab to be run through your insurance. Again, if we know that it's not going to be covered, we offer very, very low costs on labs. I mean, a typical lab panel is going to be somewhere between $99 to maybe $150, and that's a lot of lab work. If that lab goes to the lab and your insurance doesn't cover it, they're getting billed insurance prices, and that's going to be more like a $600 to an $800 price tag that you're responsible for if you haven't met your deductible. So I know I got off on topic on that. It's just, there's a lot of kind of stuff that we don't understand with insurance. So direct primary care takes all that out. You pay one fee, you come in, you get seen as much as you want, you talk to us as much as you want. The appointments are 30 minutes long. We do a lot by phone and virtual. So this is actually an ideal model of health for people like realtors, or people who are independent contractors of any kind, hairstylists, restaurant workers. If you have insurance or don't have insurance, it works for you. If you don't have insurance, it definitely works for you because we can provide about 80% of your health care. The other 20% is an emergency if you have to go to an hospital, an ER. But all of the bulk of your main healthcare can be done here for as low as $80 per month. That's as low as our plans go. Also the flexibility. So if you're a busy realtor and you're working, 10-hour days because you've got a lot of clients and you're all over town, but something's happening, you're getting something's coming on or, an infection, you could call a provider real quick, text a provider, what should I do? Have a quick little, consult at some point during your day that works for both of you. and you go on your way. You don't need to schedule an appointment. You don't need to come in here for an hour and wait in a waiting room and then, maybe be seen 2 weeks from now. So it's really good for people who are busy, independent workers, such as realtors, that really need some easier access to healthcare that's more comprehensive, with or without insurance, because most of our patients actually have health insurance. They just are tired of the general healthcare they're getting out there in the world, and it's time for more of a change, a more personalized approach. So we utilize our the memberships for that, and people really love it. And I really hope that I see this changing a lot through Jacksonville, because it's become a really big city. And we just need better healthcare, all of us. It's really the main thing. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. I mean, and you don't realize it until you don't have your health. So it's really important.
Yeah, definitely, having broken through an unhealthy decade, I'm very appreciative and feel like, this is going to be my best decade yet, and
Yes.
it only gets better from here. But I do appreciate having the relationship with your practice, so that if I do have something come up, you're right, I don't have to make an appointment that's not till next week and wait. We've got a relationship. And I know you don't necessarily do that right away with someone. You have to know, okay, yeah, Kendra swims the ocean and gets stung by jellyfish. She may need to text in a steroid cream, things like that.
Yeah, but how easy is that? That's so great. Once we do know all this, it's like, yes, immediately, I will send that to you right now.
Right, it is. It's great.
Yeah.
So when did the New You program come into play? I mean, I know it's been over a year now that you launched it, but what was the idea behind that within your practice?
Well, really, it was just two things. One is that I wanted to introduce a lot more deep functional medicine, and that just requires a deeper level of training and certification. And so I'm the one that has that. The rest of the practice doesn't necessarily. We practice very holistic medicine and very, trying to be a little bit more natural, but not the true functional medicine practice, because it's a lot of much, much deeper understanding of the physiology. So I needed to kind of pull something a little separate from the rest of the practice and create more of a program, because it is designed to be a year-long program, because like you said, things take time. And so we can't just see you at an appointment, give you the suggestion, and then, okay, see you in 2 months or 3 months, or even if we're texting back and forth. We need to make it more like a investment in a program that, like, I'm here for a whole year to commit to all these levels of changes that we're going to make. So I started it a year ago, really aiming at the menopausal women, 35 to about 60. And we start with your immediate concerns. What's your big stuff, your big, symptoms that you're having, and try to address those right out of the gate, obviously. And then we dig into, what are your long-term goals? Is it weight loss? Is it just to understand more about your body and what's coming, in the future? Is it to, just improve a chronic pain that you've had? So many things. And we do that. We definitely make sure that we are going to reach all those goals. We meet fairly regularly, and then women meet with a nutritionist as well, as you know, and that team approach is really helpful. And then we also, I think it's really important that as women are in their 40s and 50s, we have these meetups, like you were talking about, these monthly meetups, because I want to expose myself and other women to just different modalities for healing, for self-care, for relaxation, and for education. So as you know, we went to a sound bath provided by the wonderful Diana Vasquez over at Soma Collective. She's amazing. We had a lovely sound bath. So all the ladies just came. We did a sound bath. It's all included with the program. And hopefully everybody got a little bit of relaxation last night, and that led to improving healing. Somebody may have not ever been to a sound bath, so they got to try that out to see. We've done breath work classes, as you know. We've heard from so many amazing specialists, cardiologists, neurologists, therapists. So we have somebody that comes in every month to either talk to us about a health topic, or I'll talk about a health topic, like we talked about breast health, and we've talked about cardiovascular health. All of these things are important things to address now in our 40s and 50s. Once they arrive, these problems, and they will arrive, dementia, heart disease, diabetes, metabolic syndromes, it will arrive in your 60s and 70s and 80s. It's not an if usually in this country. But my goal is that it arrives much less for all of us that are really working on our bodies and our health now. Because once they're here, those problems are here. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to resolve that. Once the dementia is arriving and the little bit of memory loss is happening, you're on a road towards, serious issues that no one wants to have. And we kind of always think of it as like out there later, that's for older people, but in your 40s and your 50s, it's not that far away. So we got to act now. Get rid of the inflammation, feel good. And also, we don't have it. I hate that term, like, oh, I'm just getting older. I'm going to just have joint pain now, or it must just be that I have to slow down. I'm so opposed to that. I mean, people in all the blue zones do not live like that. So it is humanly possible for us. There's no gene in our body that says, you're old now, everything has to fall apart. That does not happen. We're trained and taught that. But I firmly believe that we don't have to live that way. But we do have to take some action. We can't just lay around and just assume that we're going to age gracefully and beautifully and all fine. We're going to do a few little changes, but if we do it all together as a community, I feel like it's so much easier. And we need to change the messaging that's going on, that we're just going to age and fall apart and be in pain and gain weight and feel crappy, because that's not actually true. There's nothing to support that. It will happen if you do nothing. But if we do anything, just sleep, just get good sleep, be around healthy, happy people. Yeah, have fun in your life. I mean, these are not complicated homeworks that I usually assign people.
I think so many women in particular get caught in that season of life that they put themselves behind everything else, and sometimes the health gets put on the back burner. I know that was definitely part of my issue of just trying to raise 3 daughters with their self-esteem intact and get them launched. So yeah, I think advertising that you're there as a resource to get them back on track.
Yeah, I really am. And I'm the same. I mean, I'm in it too. I mean, I'm not like some kind of superhero. I have to do the same thing, and I have to pull back, and I have to remind myself that I can't do it all, and that I have to take care of myself too. So I'm right there with everyone. I'm in the midst of it all myself. So it's kind of a good feedback to like, oh gosh, if I can make it help for myself, then I can help other people. And the same thing, if I can help other people, I can help myself. So, and I gain so much support from all of our people. I feel like, especially in the program, we're just all become really close, and everybody gets to know everyone. So I hope to provide a lot more virtual education in the next year so that people could just at least learn about it. If maybe that's not something they're ready for, to join an entire program or make that type of commitment. I do think it's really important to teach people what's happening in their bodies, what to do about it, what small things they can do, but in a concise way that's not just so much bombardment like you get, I feel like, on social, or like, this is the trend for right now, and then this is that. It's all great. I'm glad that we're all talking about it, but sometimes you're like, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Or is that me? Do I do that too? Like, do I do it? So I think if you get to know that a little bit more, it's slow down.
I know I think you've said before, especially on social media, there's so many experts out there,
Well, that too.
Is that what, like, in trying to get your message out there, are you trying to be the source or be?
Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody ever feel like an expert? I guess I could call myself after 25 years of working in the hormone and natural hormone space. Again, I learned from one of the best here in Jacksonville, Dr. Randolph. So I guess I am an expert. I should own that, right? Like, that's what we teach people. Like, we do have to own our expertise. I do know what I'm talking about. I've definitely done it for so long. More importantly, it's just that experience of knowing, like, not everything works. We know that estrogen can help hot flashes, but guess what? Sometimes I can give it to someone and it backfires, and they don't do actually very well with estrogen, and they don't feel well. Or you get another 2 side effects just because you put the hot flashes out. So It's such an individual thing, and sometimes I'm still learning. It's just very individual. Not everyone just walks out the door with hormones or walks out the door with these supplements. It has to be a very trial and error and safe, first and foremost, thing for each patient. So, and that takes a lot of experience and time, which definitely in that arena I have. And like I said, even for myself, you don't even know how many times I've tried a variety of different cocktails of hormone things, and I'm still trying to figure it out for me. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. But I mean, I'm humbled to know that we don't know it all. This is just a time of life that's so different for everyone. And so many factors affect perimenopause and menopause. And that is just all the outside stuff that goes on really affects our inside world. So it's just a work in progress, but I hope it's helpful, and I hope I can get the message out to more people, more women.
Well, I feel like you're working with our friend Tara to do some videos and that kind of thing, right?
That's right. I forgot. Yes, that you know her. So yes, we were definitely going to try to put that out there more. with the spirit of really trying to just teach women what to do for themselves and what to do now and what to do for the future, and just explain more what's going on, hopefully in a little bit more concise way, so it's not just little tidbits of information constantly on there. So yes, I might show up on social media now. It's not my favorite place to be. I don't disregard the space. I just find that it drains my time, and I don't like that. And I really feel those triggers, and I think a lot of women do. Like, oh, I'm not as good as she is, and I hate all those feelings inside, those doubts of your person. Where I didn't have a doubt when I started to pick up that phone, and then 10 minutes on Instagram, and I'm starting to feel a little bit like, oh, I should be doing that. Oh, my house is not as pretty as that, or anything. I'm like, I always just put it down. Enough of that comparison. Who cares?
Well,
and they're not even real, probably. That's the worst part.
And promoting your business, like as a realtor, I feel like I have a grip on the different platforms, but it gets exhausting, like trying to put the information out there. Or to keep it up, and sometimes I just want to retreat and isolate and not post anything, but I'm like, no, I gotta get my name out there,
I know. Sometimes just the 80s and the 90s, it was just easier. We'll put a magazine ad or something. I don't know. It is a lot. I mean, it definitely you do learn so much, and it's such it's a great media and way to, like you said, get your information out. If it just didn't suck us in, like if it didn't just drive us into one more. It's just so annoying, but it is something we can work with as long as it's healthy. Yeah.
So is there anything I haven't asked you, or anything we haven't talked about, that you want to share about yourself? Or
gosh, just I guess I would love to leave the message that you are such a great example of, if you are with a provider, and it doesn't have to be us, but if you find a healthcare provider, all men and women, and then you trust them, and they're able to give you good guidance and good accountability, and you feel like this is a good team effort to make changes in your health, that I encourage everyone to really focus on that. I really don't like to hear, I only go to my doctor when I'm sick, or I just go for my once a year PAP or my once a year checkup, or worse, I haven't been to a doctor in 10 years. Like, it's just not, we take care of our pets and our cars way better than we do our own selves. And women in particular, I know that men are known for like not wanting to go to the doctor, but women really don't make a big effort to really heal their bodies, and we end up with more problems because we just, let's face it, typically take on more in general. I mean, I'm just generalizing. We just, our minds are meant for multitasking, where men have a true gift to not multitask so much. So we just do so much that takes a toll on our bodies, especially in perimenopause and menopause. It's really going to show up, and then that leads to just the disease that we get later on, or the aging, or the weight gain, or the hair loss, or the skin that's falling apart. I mean, we can't live forever, and we're going to age, and that's okay. If we can just do it healthy and happy, that's the goal. It's not that complicated, and you just have to work with someone that can help you get there. And it's just a work in progress.
I think that's the comment I get the most, is just how healthy I look. Like,
yes.
when I finally dropped the weight, I felt good, and people say, oh, you look great. And I'm like, I know, I'm finally like back to a normal weight. And they're like, no, it's not the weight. Like, you're just glowing. Like,
that's what I said. I just said that to someone last night when I saw you glow. That is an aura of, and not in a hokey pokey way. We all see this. Humans can detect, we have instinct, and we can detect when someone's scared or sad or fearful, and when they look healthy and happy. And you have a different glow about you of just healthy. And the sad part is that shouldn't be such an enigma. We're just all used to everybody looking haggard. You stand out because you look so great amongst the rest of us that are like drowning. Well, I'm trying not to be anymore, but still, I'm still working on me. Yeah, we're just all not used to feeling okay.
Right.
We're used to feeling not great. Or we're really used to feeling not great or okay on a day-by-day basis. Like, how do I wake up and feel today? Well, maybe I have some energy today. Or today I feel crappy. Or today I feel exhausted. We don't wake up the same every day. But sometimes when you've really got all those systems functioning well, right, you do wake up, in general, feeling pretty good most days. And life throws things at you, of course, so we can go with those situations. But when you're healthy inside, you can deal with that better.
Well, and I think, moving forward, I just want to move without pain. So, I've had different feet issues or knee issues or whatever. shoulder issues, and to just be moving and to move without pain, it keeps me moving, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we're already kind of behind the desk and with the computer and with the phone a lot. So that's kind of we're addicted to it and we're used to it. And it's just our way our world is, but that does take a toll on our musculoskeletal system. Yeah. So that's a new one for New You 2.0. Later, you'll get to that one, maybe, hopefully. That's where we're having a really cool functional physical therapist who's really working on assessing each person individually for your balance, your flexibility, your strength, to really one-on-one figure out, like, are you good in all the areas? Because that's a big thing for women. We do lose muscle. We do lose flexibility. We can keep it and we can gain it and we can maintain it.
Right.
But you have to have kind of all of them. Some people really focus on weightlifting or really focus on yoga and flexibility and balance, like we love. But if we can kind of get a lot of it all together, that's how our skeletons and our muscles stay strong. And then the joints are more flexible and don't tend to be as inflamed. Again, so many causes for inflammation that cause all the joint pains. I always recommend people, please try to work on some other things before you go right to the ortho. I mean, they're great, but it's going to be, a steroid shot or physical therapy or surgery. Like, oh, then you really open up a can of worms. And pain is awful. Once you have pain, it just really affects your whole life daily.
Yeah. In that early spring of starting my journey of giving up alcohol, working with you, I injured my shoulders moving sandbags in my yard, and I was so distraught because I was just starting to get into a routine with swimming every morning, and I didn't know if I was a surgical candidate, so went to the ortho, and he said, no, you're not a surgical candidate. And so he sent me to physical therapy, and the physical therapist said basically I needed to rest. And I'm like, so
I know. What do you mean rest?
I did rest, and that was July 4th of 2021. And then in the spring, I got back in the ocean, and I haven't looked back. And I'm still conscious of not overdoing it. I just want to be able to swim my mile every day. And I keep saying this, I need to get back to the weightlifting. I know that that's important moving forward, building muscle. The yoga, yes, that helps. I think the yoga helps my monkey mind more than anything.
Yeah,
just
for
getting
sure.
on the mat and forgetting the world.
And breathing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many facets to our healing. It's just incredible. Like, it's just so many little things. And injury is not always just a one mechanical problem. Like, yes, you tear a ligament and it's physically torn. A lot of times it's just deeper than that. It's just the tissue's inflamed, or the tissue's been partially affected, torn, or there's a dislocation. Or in some cases, you're walking, like neck pain. Like, it could just be that you're walking incorrectly and it can be hurting in your neck. It's so many different parts than just, once again, reactive, like focusing on that shoulder pain and it needs to be, fixed right now. I'm glad that they didn't get too aggressive with your shoulder pain, because see, you did heal it for the most part.
I feel like I've always been fairly in tune with my body, like in the sense of not just, working through the pain, I feel like I'm attuned to, okay, something's not right. So that's probably, I don't know that everybody's like that, really,
Yeah, no, a lot of people aren't necessarily, but like I said, everyone's just uniquely different. And sadly, it's still part of our instructions on when a woman's gaining weight, usually in perimenopause, like eat less, go exercise more. You got to exercise more. And so people go from 0 to to 500 right away. I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to do all the classes. I'm going to do all the big hit stuff. And those are all okay. It's just that our bodies then take a big risk of getting an injury, and then you really have a setback. So I really encourage everything that anyone does in any modality should just be taken slowly and go step by step and ease into it all, because the minute you get an injury, then it's a real setback, especially with exercise.
I think too, again, consistency over intensity. I remember like when I had my whiplash-induced headache for a year, and that was like 12, 14 years ago. I remember someone saying to me, like, I was having a hard time just getting moving, and I was depressed. I was dealing with a headache, and someone said, oh, you just need to get in the gym and do it. And I mentally couldn't, and And I think when people are stuck like that, again, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, work your way up to it. And even getting back in the ocean, I swam a half mile and got out and walked back and just worked my way up to swimming consistently. So
which is just so incredible. And like, as you know, I always say I will never be able to, I shouldn't say I never be able to do that, but you're just that seems so amazing to me that you do that, because it seems so impossible for me, but everyone can do everything and anything, and that's your thing. And yes, we all can find what one thing works for us and what makes us feel amazing. But that's so great.
What works for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad that you have found that for you, though, because it's such an amazing experience to be in the ocean. And there's so many facets than just the exercise.
I know.
It's beautiful.
The ocean's different every day. The sunrise is different every day. I wake up, my body's ready to go do it. It never gets interrupted. I say that a lot. I'm like, nobody needs me at sunrise. So
that's true.
I'll try and pencil in a yoga class, and something comes up and I have to cancel. So I think that's really how I've been able to do it consistently, is because it's at a time of day that if my phone's not on my hip, it's okay.
It is okay. Yes. And that's definitely one thing that a lot of women struggle with, is finding that time, right? That time to, especially something like exercise. I'm number one exercise reluctant. Like, it's just not in my DNA. We're not big exercisers, but I know the value of it. So it's been a real, real way to just try to finding a way that it's not such a burden, like it's such a chore. If it's going to be a chore for me, I will just not do it. Right. I will do it for a week and then I'll never do it. So now I've really gotten into enjoying just walking, especially if I'm listening to something happy and fun, and like a podcast like yours, or just music, or just talking on the phone with my friends. Like, I find that those things help me. Find a way. It's just finding little ways. Keep trying something until you find what is easy to do, that you enjoy, that's not a chore.
Right.
Because in the end, we just have to move the body, because if we're not moving our bodies, we don't live on a farm and work on there. If you do live on a farm, then lucky for you, because you're probably already getting plenty of exercise and you're good. Or if you live in a big city where you're walking all day long, it's probably still okay. But in Jacksonville, we don't walk that much to anything. So we got to get some exercise in.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm just so excited to share your story, your business, because it has been such a big part of my journey and getting me to where I needed to be. So thank you. Thank you to your staff, your other, partners. So
I'm very happy to have been here, and I do speak for all of us here that we're very proud of you, and we're very thankful for you. And you also too are a role model. I'm not only just in the community of amazing, all the amazing things you do, but you've also been a role model for, like I said, some of our patients, actually several of our patients who started their journey way after you, and to know that there was someone that either I could connect them with, especially, or just knowing that I could say, hey, I have this other patient who was in the same place you are, and now she's way over here. And just, that's such good motivation to know that they're not alone, that you're not alone. And that's true for any right. issue of any kind, whether it's physical or mental or any other ailment. You're not alone, and we're always all here to support you. And there's people like yourself in the community that are also here to shine. So congrats to you too.
Thank you.
We're all awesome.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Find the Connection. I hope today's episode gave you some helpful insights and inspired you to get involved in your community. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find us. And if you're interested in making a move or learning more about Northeast Florida, reach out to me anytime. Let's keep finding the connection together. Until next time, stay connected and keep thriving.